Alrighty, so here's part 2 of my DCS wish list for the next couple of years, this time focusing on post-World War II aircraft. The first, of course, being the Aermacchi MB326. This particular model seen in IL-2's bat mod is the Embraer, I think it's AT-26 or something like that. It was also built under license in South Africa, and I think Australia as well. And these have seen use both as trainers and as light attack aircraft over the years, and I think are still in service in a couple of places. So next is number 2. And number 2, of course, being the Lockheed T-33 Shooting Star. I have a personal connection with one of these, having restored one at the Vintage Flying Museum when I was a bit younger. I helped restore it, I didn't do everything, and that aircraft is currently still flying. These were used from about 1949 all the way up to 2017, the last of them being retired by Bolivia in 2017. It's kind of crazy to think about. So these have been used as trainers, light attack aircraft, target tugs, just about anything you can think of the T-33 has done. So on to number 3. Number 3, of course, being the Convair F-102 Delta Dagger, the predecessor to the F-106 Delta Dart that we have as a mod from VSN. It's a little off the cuff today. Of course, the F-102 saw some service in Vietnam, although it wasn't exactly stellar during that conflict. It also saw service during the Greek and Turkish, border conflicts and whatnot in the 1970s. It was used by both of those nations. And we also have one of those at the Fort Worth Aviation Museum. Ours is a TF-102, which is the ugly duckling, which has the side-by-side seating instead of the tandem seats like what the later F-106 had for their 2-seat aircraft. On to number 4. Number 4, of course, being the Ilyushin IL-28 Beagle. The Beagle is a Soviet-era bomber aircraft, which was also used as a trainer, and I think they also used them as transport aircraft and reconnaissance aircraft as well. They saw extensive use in the Middle East, I believe, and they are currently in service with, I believe, currently just North Korea, but China might still have a few in reserve, hence why I chose the Chinese PLAAF markings here. And we are sorely lacking anything in terms of 1950s Soviet aesthetics, other than, of course, the MiG-15 and maybe the MiG-19. And at number 5, we have the North American T-28 Trojan. I know, another trainer airplane. I have a soft spot for trainers, can you tell? This, of course, was the aircraft that was supposed to have replaced the North American AT-6 Texan and Harvard aircraft. Not nearly as many countries flew the Trojan as flew the Texan, and funnily enough, the Texan actually outlasted the Trojan in total service life, the Trojan having been retired in about 1988, and the Texan, or Harvard depending on where you're from, being retired in 1995 from South Africa. In addition to being used as a trainer, the Trojan was also used primarily in the Vietnam War as a forward air control and light attack aircraft, which is something we could use, for Vietnam conflicts. So on to number 6. Number 6, of course, being the Lockheed P-2V Neptune anti-submarine warfare and maritime patrol aircraft, which typically had 4 engines, 2 piston and 2 jet, but early models like this one had just the 2 piston engines. And I think this would be a great one for multi-crew for more than 2 people, as is possible with the upcoming C-130, and I think the C-130 mod already had more than 2 for multi-crew, but I'm not sure. Never tested that. But these were used extensively in Vietnam, as well as some other conflicts. I think they were also used in the Cuban Missile Crisis. So on to number 7. Number 7, of course, being the Republic F-84 Thunderjet. These aircraft served extensively during the Korean War. It is a ground attack aircraft, although it was designed as a fighter. By the time it came into service in Korea, the F-86 Sabre was a much better option for air superiority. The Sabrejet was also used, the Thunderjet was also used as a fighter and ground attack aircraft in a number of other countries, including France. So without further ado, on to number 8. Number 8, of course, being the Cessna A-37 Dragonfly. The Dragonfly was another aircraft that saw extensive use during Vietnam, primarily as a forward air control and ground attack aircraft. Armed with a single 7.62mm minigun in the nose and could carry an astonishingly large amount of weapons up underneath the wings. It was developed from the T-37 Tweet trainer. It was also used by a bunch of other countries, actually. Used by many countries in South Africa and Southeast Asia, including South Vietnam, and I think Pakistan had a few. I know they had T-37s. So moving on to number 9. Number 9, of course, being the Sukhoi Su-7 Fitter A, which of course was a Soviet interceptor aircraft, which is also refitted as a ground attack airplane and a trainer, although it was overshadowed by the MiG-21 in both regards. It's one of those things I'd like to see just as almost a novelty airplane, because the MiG-21 got all the press. So moving on to number 10. Number 10, of course, being the Ilyushin Il-10, which had the NATO reporting name Beast. The Il-10, of course, being the more modern version of the Ilyushin Il-2 Stormovik. And these saw service during the Korean War, although I think they might have also seen service during World War II. They were used more extensively post-war. So without further ado, that concludes my list of 10 post-World War II aircraft that I'd like to see in DCS. And this was all off the cuff, so pardon my tired feeling voice. And I'll get with y'all on the next video.